One line was all it took for the internet to go into full panic mode. Nobody anticipated what happened when Iman Shumpert appeared in front of the camera today, composed and in charge. Not the casual admirers, not the gossip websites, not even the ardent supporters of Teyana Taylor or Aaron Pierre. However, the moment there's a reason Aaron walked away, he began opening his mouth and the room became silent. Then the internet took off. Clips were trending within minutes. Supporters were yelling. Everyone was asking the same question as timelines lighted up. Why? What actually caused Aaron Pierre to break up with Teyana Taylor? Iman didn't simply respond. He left clues that were too significant to ignore. He mentioned judgments made behind the scenes, pressures unrelated to professions, and discussions that never released to the public. He discussed tension, influence, invisible forces at play, and whether love was sufficient to endure when all other things failed. Shock swamped the comments in a matter of seconds. I didn't anticipate this. This transforms everything. Add more. Hold on. What did he just disclose? And that was only the beginning. Fans didn't simply lean in when Iman's voice became serious and sad. Instead, they were engrossed in the narrative, a few with thousands of shares. The videos were quickly becoming viral, and people were clamoring for more information about Aaron Pierre's true feelings, what he actually saw, and what portion of this story the public was never supposed to know. This isn't just another explanation for a celebrity split. It seems like no one anticipated this reality, and the crucial query is already blazing. Over social media channels, what had Iman disclosed? How is Teyana going to react? The beginning of the clip wasn't dramatic. No glitzy opening, no music. Iman Shumpert alone, leaning back in a chair, and seemed to have I was about to speak more, but I had already spoken too much. Iman breathed and remarked, "People think Aaron just dipped." It wasn't that simple. The internet leaned forward in unison as the interviewer was about to finish asking about relationships under strain, since the Aaron he was referring about wasn't arbitrary. Aaron Pierre was the one, the partnership he was referring to, the one with Teyana Taylor, the one that had admirers swooning, making predictions, and analyzing each public appearance. Whispers have been going around for weeks. Subtle distance, quieter transitions, and fewer interactions, sightings, but nothing tangible. Iman hasn't attacked anyone yet. He contextualized rather than insulted or accused. Something goes on behind closed doors, he remarked cautiously, and love isn't always the problem. If love wasn't the problem, what was? That phrase exploded. The soundbite was clipped by fan pages in a matter of minutes. It got headlines from blogs. Channels for reactions became live. Thousands of people liked a single comment. It wasn't heartbreak. Then, pressure was the cause. Where is the pressure coming from? Iman went on to say, when you're creating a profession, brand, or image, two powerful people may occasionally be drawn in different ways. Since this was no longer about theater, that statement struck a deeper chord than any charge. The topic was divergence. He made reference to timing. He mentioned external voices. He made reference to choices that seemed to involve more than two persons. Those voices were unnamed by him, and he made it apparent that Aaron didn't simply get up and go, even though he didn't elaborate on those choices. Iman stated strongly that he is not that kind. He is calculating. If he moves back, there's a rationale. Calculated. Fans were spiraling now. Was Aaron defending himself? Was he keeping her safe? Was he negotiating something more profound? Teyana, meanwhile, had not shared anything on the interview on social media. Quiet. Furthermore, even when silence isn't confirmation, it can feel that way in celebrity society. Immediately, the comment sections divided. According to Team Teyana, partnerships develop organically. Team Aaron maintained that there was something that was hidden from the public. Then the clip appeared, adding to the mess. Another line, virtually off script, was added by Iman. Not everyone is suited for decisions involving the spotlight. Highlight choices. That phrase became the focus of the evening. A spotlight decision. What is it? Is it prioritizing appearance over closeness? Is it putting work before comfort? Is public alignment at the expense of personal tranquility? Nobody was aware, but everyone guessed. A well-known gossip blog received a message from an apparent insider who claimed to have ties to the larger entertainment community. It wasn't dishonest, it was trajectory, path. Everything was reframed by that word. Because trajectory is direction rather than controversy. Two people can be divided by direction without either of them being incorrect. Iman didn't stop there, though. Aaron softly shook his head when asked directly if he departed due to a personal conflict. It's challenging to compete with noise, he replied, especially when it's not yours. Timelines exploded with that line. What sound? External narratives, industry rumors, and public pressure. Fans started going over previous interviews again, looking for any instances in which Aaron appeared uncertain. Resurfaced clips showed him talking about energy protection, privacy, and keeping grounded. Those clips felt prophetic all of a sudden. Hours later, Teyana shared a video of her training. Just intensity, no caption. People took it to mean power. Some interpreted it as a deflection. The body language specialists joined the chat as Iman's interview kept making the rounds. They examined his tone, eye movements, and pauses. He wasn't gossiping, they said. He was giving clarification. What is being clarified? That Aaron was successful. This wasn't a messy exit because Aaron made a choice, and choice implies agency. It was deliberate. The emotional change followed. During the interview, Iman leaned forward and remarked softly. That sentence struck a chord because it implied foresight rather than reaction. Sometimes you walk away before it turns into something you can't fix. Was Aaron avoiding damage by leaving early? Before animosity developed, was he resigning? Once more, speculation erupted. The internet feeds on narrative, and this one felt theatrical. Two of the most popular tweets were, "He left before love turned bitter," and "When men leave quietly, it's because they saw something coming." What made it even more emotional, though, is this. Iman didn't take offense. He wasn't territorially protective. He sounded thoughtful, as if he had seen something happen and comprehended both sides. The crowd was immediately split by the statement. "Tay's strong. She'll be fine, but sometimes strong people don't bend." Was it a compliment or a criticism? Does the statement "strong people don't bend" imply that there was no compromise or that the situation called for rigidity? Nobody could concur. Aaron, meanwhile, said nothing at all. No interview, no story, no tweet. And that quiet became into thunder of its own. Because when someone is said to be deliberate and well calculated, and they don't jump to defend themselves, it strengthens the perception. By midnight, pundits in the entertainment industry were referring to it as the year's most complex breakup story. Just complexity, no scandal, no charges. Additionally, intricacy can occasionally seem louder than chaos. However, a footage from the same conversation that hadn't yet gone viral appeared precisely as everyone believed the interview had exposed all. Iman mumbled something in it that was nearly too quiet to hear. Not every exit is about the door. Sometimes it's about the person beyond it. Though it hasn't completely burst yet, that line is making the rounds, and people are analyzing it frame by frame because, if the door isn't the problem, then who is behind it? That single silent sentence had developed fangs by the following morning. Not all exits are related to the door. There are instances when it comes down to who is behind it. Captioned in bright red characters, slowed down, then clipped. The internet was no longer merely responding, it was looking into it. Iman Shumpert's whole interview was replayed by fans, who analyzed each tiny expression. The precise moment he used the term "behind" was captured by influencers. His tone lowered significantly, according to body language researchers, as though he was picking his words carefully. The theories then began to proliferate. Was he referring to industry pressure, friends, family, or management? Everyone had an opinion, but no one knew. Aaron Pierre, meanwhile, was remarkably silent. Just absence, no evasive Instagram stories, no defensive tweets, no cryptic sayings about progress or peace. Absence might also feel strong. An alleged insider arrived around noon, sent a message to a well-known entertainment blog that only served to stoke the fire. It had nothing to do with treachery, it had to do with alignment. Alignment, like wildfire. That word spread. Since alignment isn't scandal, it's a tactic. It implies that even when two individuals have a great deal of affection for one another, they may not agree on priorities, timing, or trajectory. The twist, however, came next. Another snippet of Iman's interview emerged, one that wasn't yet popular. Within it, he leaned back, hesitated. Then Anton murmured something that sounded extremely unnatural. "You'd better know who controls the speakers when you enter a noisy environment." The internet froze. Turning on the speakers, was he suggesting that someone was directing the attention, influencing public opinion, and amplifying narratives? Once more, simply a suggestion, no names, no accusations. Once more, simply a suggestion, no names, no accusations. Additionally, the most hazardous instrument in celebrity narratives, Teyana Taylor's old interviews were coming back to life within hours. Clips in which she talked fervently about being independent, creating her empire, and making boss moves. Supporters started discussing if Aaron was ever really at ease in that ecosystem. The sides were beginning to form. One tweet went viral, saying, "He didn't leave her. He left the noise." Another retorted, "If you can't handle the noise, you can't handle the queen." Aaron's team lauded his purported foresight. They presented him as someone who moved aside before lightning struck after spotting the storm coming. Team Teyana defended her strength by claiming that strong women who don't back down are frequently overly labeled. Additionally, Iman put petrol in the midst of the stress. Not consciously, but successfully. He shook his head when asked if he regretted speaking about it during a subsequent radio interview. "No, I simply dislike it when exits are rewritten as though they were unintentional." Revising exits. The story became more complex now. Did the general public misunderstand what transpired? Was the split being staged to look different? He explained that there was no major betrayal, new controversy, and no someone was sent packing after a heated argument. It was cultivated. It was a mature choice, he remarked. That word was important. Though maturity doesn't eliminate conjecture, mature decisions suggest introspection, maturity, and purpose. Teyana shared later that day something understated yet effective. A studio snapshot, eyes closed, headphones in place. Caption: energy shifts. Growth follows. A second explosion was set off by that statement. Nobody could tell. Was it acknowledgement, agreement, or rebuttal? But what followed was even more fascinating. According to a fan story, Aaron and Teyana were both present separately at a recent industry event. The fan's thread stated that there was no eye stares, no obvious strain, no dramatic avoidance. The thread said they just moved like two people who know, you know what? The uncertainty only become more pronounced. Then another purported insider message appeared, submitted to a podcast host who specializes in entertainment comments this time. Drama wasn't the reason he left. He noticed a change in momentum and departed. Changing momentum. Didn't that phrase make things seem more strategic and less emotional? Was their professional path tearing them apart? Were decisions about brands made, causing conflict? Was the timing just off? Now Iman's initial comments reverberated more loudly. Not everyone is suited for decisions involving the spotlight. Choosing between public positioning and personal comfort is necessary while making spotlight judgments. Choosing between sensitivity and speed, between closeness and image. And Aaron may have considered risk if he is as calculating as Ian said. Perhaps he judged the direction and got off the ride before it picked up speed. However, this is where things become more complex. There was a new theory going around. What if the purpose of the exit was preservation rather than discomfort? Walking away isn't always a sign of weakness. Sometimes it's a way to protect what you don't want broken. One entertainment analyst wrote, protecting what? Future cooperation, emotional well-being, or reputation. Then came the most silent part of all. Aaron finally made a post late that evening. Just a black and white picture of a stage without any words. Nothing, no hashtags, no caption. It was loud with symbolism. An empty stage might indicate preparation, transition, or departure. Speculation from fans flooded the comments. Is he removing himself from the spotlight? Is what about her? Is peace at stake here? Still, he remained silent. Iman, meanwhile, declined to go into further detail. Sometimes silence is the cleanest explanation, Amy stated in a succinct follow-up comment to a reporter. It seemed like a farewell note. Clean, uncluttered, and unspectacular. Clean exits. However, do not quell curiosity, because what didn't happen is the most disturbing aspect of this whole issue. No altercation in public, no scandal, no secrets revealed. Simply a choice. And it is more difficult to process decisions without confusion. People enjoy villains. One Piece hasn't entirely emerged yet, but this story doesn't yet have one. While that Iman mentioned something so subtly that it nearly went unnoticed in the first interview, right before the camera cut. Some people are protected by timing, while others are exposed. Although it hasn't trended yet, that sentence is getting around. And perhaps leaving wasn't the goal if time really does protect. Perhaps it has to do with when, by the third day, the story was changing rather than merely trending. What started as a single introspective interview with Iman Shumpert has now evolved into a full-fledged cultural discussion concerning power, timing, and silent departures. Then came the last component. An extended, uncut version of Iman's initial interview appeared online. The segment that wasn't broadcast on the social media versions that were trimmed. Just uncut video without any dramatic music or zoom. Within it, Iman leaning forward with their hands joined. He whispered something that changed the way everything was perceived. You may love someone enough to leave them before you become resentful. This was no longer about alignment, noise, or image. So that sentence came as a shock. Preventing resentment was the main goal. Avoiding harm or anything that cannot be undone. After a brief lull, the internet sprung into activity. Relationship therapists started to provide their opinions. Thought pieces concerning emotional foresight began to circulate. Influencers reframed this split as a mature way out. However, the next sentence caused even fans to recoil. Someone has to walk out when two powerful companies begin negotiating rather than falling in love. Brands are negotiating. He had never been so direct in his life. Teyana Taylor wasn't being accused of being transactional by him. Aaron Pierre wasn't being accused of insecurity by him. He was explaining a change that occurs when conversations about love become conversations about brands. When private choices are made public, when reaching a compromise feels like negotiating a contract. When all of a sudden, fans started going over everything again. Making somewhat staged public appearances. Aaron appeared measured and even timid during the interviews. Teyana's laser-focused remarks about independence. Although none of it was poisonous, it did appear intense, and too much intensity can cause burns. Late that night, the most disturbing development occurred. Aaron broke his silence by sharing a snippet of his own interview that had gone unreported weeks prior. Rather than making a statement, He was questioned about preserving privacy in relationships in the video. That clip reappeared like a prophecy, because if he values quiet love and she thrives in powerful visibility, then perhaps this wasn't conflict. He replied simply, "Some things are better loved quietly." Perhaps it was a volume but this is where things got out of hand once more. An anonymous quote, purportedly from a person with knowledge of the situation, was published by an entertainment columnist. He clearly saw the next 6 months, and he didn't want to be standing in that picture. The next 6 months, the quote said. That sentence was shocking. What would happen in 6 months? Nobody was aware of the album release, significant career change, new partnerships, or media storms. However, if Aaron saw something heavy approaching and moved aside before it happened, that implies awareness rather than fear, consciousness. In the meantime, Teyana finally addressed the matter head-on in a live Q&A. She said something that sounded pointed, but she didn't specifically mention Aaron. It's acceptable if not. Everyone is destined to accompany you on the entire journey. She didn't sound resentful. It was written, because both sides now seemed mature. That poise changed the story once more. There was no assault, no secrets were being revealed. All they were doing was rephrasing the conclusion. Additionally, that the public was captivated by difference. Through Iman's words, Naron's side implied protection and foresight. Teyana's side implied development and progress. One shared conclusion, two legitimate interpretations. When Iman was asked directly if there was regret, that was the real twist. Engaged. After a moment of silence, he said, "Regret only shows up when you stay too long." That statement struck me as a bookending because it suggests that leaving early can stop regret from ever developing. Aaron's departure wasn't reactive. If that's the case, it was calculated. The most disturbing aspect, though, is this. There has been no scandal. There isn't any explosive secret out yet. There is no proof of betrayal. However, fans are taken aback. Why? Since we're accustomed to chaos, we can explain arguments, cheating, breakups, and public fallout. Rather, this story is about trajectory, volume, timing, and understanding when your presence could make things more difficult. Additionally, that it is more difficult to process the quiet preventative type of breakup. It doesn't assign blame to the general public. It compels us to acknowledge that love can end due to strain rather than failure. Aaron shared another straightforward quote late that evening. Peace demands accuracy, just precision, no tags, no explanation. Everything is tied together by that word. Iman described him as calculating. Insiders referred to him as aware. Iman described him as calculating. Insiders referred to him as aware. He is now referred to as intentional by fans. Hours later, Teyana shared a studio clip with background music swelling. The last shock is the caption. Evolution isn't betrayal. Two powerful statements. No hostility, just divergence. The implosion wasn't messy. The detachment was under control. That sort of ending feels almost suspiciously clean in a culture that is addicted to drama and in two strong people choosing different momentum. Perhaps, though, that is the true twist. Perhaps the quietest breakup isn't the most beautiful. It is the one in which no one loses command. This is the question that no one has yet been able to answer. Who does timing expose next if it shielded one of them? You already know if you've been paying attention to every development in this story. This wasn't just another headline about a celebrity split, layered, deliberate, and uncomfortably mature. This was Iman Shumpert didn't make fun of anyone. Aaron Pierre made no effort to protect himself. Teyana didn't go downhill, openly, and for some reason, that increased the volume, because we are forced to read between the lines rather than responding to explosions when powerful people move in silence. Hey, let's face it, when a breakup feels strategic, the internet is at a loss for what to do. Rather than scandalous, I'd like to hear from you now. Do you believe Aaron had foresight when he left? Was there a layer we haven't yet discovered? Or was Teyana changing in a way he couldn't agree with? Let us know what you think. The remarks, and be considerate. It has nothing to do with villains. The cost of spotlight decisions, momentum, and timing are all important considerations. Make sure you hit like right now if you value in-depth analysis that go beyond rumors and analyze tone, intent, and what's actually being said behind the lines. Turn on notifications and subscribe. This narrative is altered once more if either of them chooses to speak directly. If a new interview is released, or if a collaboration is launched, you'd rather not be last to be informed. Some tales come to an end, others echo loudly. Additionally, this one possibly not yet complete.